By Jody Hendricks, a rugby analyst, to discuss Allister Coetzee's very first Springbok match day 23. Jody, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Kieran. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, now tell us your gut reaction when you saw this team. Happy, not happy?
Yeah, I think it was a team that probably about 85% of South Africa would be happy with, taking the circumstances. I think there's one or two players. I think Ruan Kombrink can be very unlucky. Malcolm Marks, who is playing on Friday night for the SAA team, he can also, the hooker from the Lions, can be a bit unlucky. Yeah. But all in all, I think it's a decent side. 474 caps between them. It's the kind of team that you'd want to start the tenure with. I think the journey starts now, but I think we'll see a couple of new players as this tenure continues.
You mentioned two Lions players, probably Jaco Kriel as well. He had a lot of Lions players to choose from. He did pick 5 of them, so perhaps, as you say, hedging his bets for now and introducing slowly.
Yeah, the Lions plays a very different kind of rugby to compare to what South African traditionally have come to know, Kieran. So I think he didn't want to go, take a gamble. They play high-risk rugby, and in your first game as an international coach, I don't think you want to play high-risk rugby. I think you want to stick to your strengths. That's why I think he went with Dwayne Vermeulen, Francois Low, and Siya Kolisi at the breakdown or as his flanks to compete at the breakdown, secure good ball, and make sure that our backline gets enough ball going forward. But I do have a couple of concerns, but we can get to that in just a few minutes.
Yeah, definitely. What do you think the style of play is going to be? We know what he did at the Stormers. They weren't the most exciting team, but they were very watertight in defence. He alluded to the fact that he wants to try different things, but not but not go too far from the Springbok style. What do you think?
I think you summed it up. Very conservative and defence orientated at the Stormers. I think the players that he selected, we might be able to see them not playing in their half. They might want to play in the opposition's half, go forward ball, let the forwards come with that traditional South African rugby and then play the ball out wide. I think Lwazi Mvovo, he's played some good rugby. JP Peterson, a couple of question marks, but then also the centre combination. Damien Dalende is coming back into form. Lionel Mapoe has been phenomenal this season, so we've got a dangerous backline that can give us that go forward ball if we're in our own half, but I don't see us running, for example, from our opponent's half.
That's a pity. But one thing that I spotted was the halfback combination. Yeah. How easy is it to have two players just gel? I mean, Lambie is a senior player. Faf in his own right is a good player, but he did have his fly half in Elton available. That's
the one combination to start your first test with 9 and 10 who hasn't played together and don't know each other that well. That's why I thought we would go on with Elton. Elton's also played some good rugby. We know he's struggling with an injury, but Pat Lambie, I think there's going to be a lot of responsibility on him to protect Faf, and I think also Dwayne Vermeulen, the 8 between 8 and 10, they're going to have to protect Faf because he's inexperienced, a very exciting player, but suspect under defence as well. We've seen at the Lions where he was dropped for leaking a few soft tries, as their coach Johan Ackerman put it. So I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on Lambie at number 10 to play the general role for South Africa and dictate play to make sure that we hopefully beat the Irish on Saturday.
But it was a case that Faf basically earned his spot in this team, and that's refreshing to see because we have come from a situation where a lot of players almost thought it was their right to be selected in a position.
The old era of, if you want to mention a couple of players, Furido Priya, Victor Matfield also. That's why I'm so excited about this new lock combination with Eben Etzebeth and Louis de Jager. I think they can be probably dominate world rugby going forward. But coming back to the backline and players getting the opportunity. The only other player that I thought realistically had a chance was Francois Hougaard, but him and a couple of other players are not available for selection due to their commitment to the 7 side. Francois has been playing some brilliant rugby in England. I think he was the Premiership Player of the Year, and I don't see why he couldn't get the nod. But maybe in the future as well. Rudy Page fell out of the bus a bit at the latter part.
He had a quiet
he started well, and then as the tournament got on, even Piet van Zyl was a selected everything. But also another factor that we could discuss is the weather. It's probably going to rain on Saturday. Well, it's definitely raining in Cape Town tomorrow. They said there's drizzle and a good chance for rain on Saturday. That could also impact Allister's game plan, and if it rains, I actually don't think we'll do that well, because a lot of our players haven't played in wet conditions this year. I think I commentated one game at the Lions where it rained, and about one game where it rained for 20 minutes at Loftus. So if the rain factor could be in the Irish favour.
And also, Allister did speak about the set pieces. Ireland will be good at the set pieces, and we have to make sure we're equally good. But what else does this Irish team offer? Because I can't... it's hard to recognise a lot of players. I see in the backline they do have Keith Earls, but they're generally an unknown quantity.
Yeah, they lost a couple of key players to injury, the Kearney brothers, their Sexton, their star flyer. So I think it's a bit of a watered-down Irish team, a very dangerous still, I think, Irish team, because they won the Six Nations in 2014 or 15, I think. They were not that good this year, but they know what it takes to win matches. Away from home, they tend to struggle a bit, so I think it's going to be tough for them. But like I said, should it rain, it's probably going to count more against the Springboks and will go more in the Irish favour. Also, a couple of South Africans, Richard Strauss, the cousin of the Springbok captain, he'll be hopefully wanting to get some game time on tour. And CJ Stander, the former South African under-20 captain, he's been included as a flanker. So I'm sure they'll be out to prove a point against their foremost nation.
And CJ Stander's been a revelation for the Irish. It's quite tough to see one of our South African born and bred go and do this. But I suppose we're sharing the wealth with the rest of the world.
Yeah, CJ Stander, I think if he had to stay in South Africa, would have been a Springbok for sure. Unfortunately, he decided to pack his bags and leave a couple of years ago, but he's doing well, and good to see what he'll bring to the game on Saturday. It's going to be an interesting duel with him and Francois Louw at the breakdown, I think.
The other thing I wanted to talk about was the lock combination. You alluded to it that you're excited about it. What about Peter Steph du Toit? Because he's been a standout player for the Stormers. If I assume he's fit. I mean, he's made the match day 23. What do you think of him and Etzebeth combination at the Springbok?
If you take that, Eben's been phenomenal, first of all, let's say that, but Louis de Jager is the South African Rugby Player of the Year.
Yes.
So he, by all technicalities, is the best rugby player in South Africa. Peter Steph du Toit, I think because he's still a bit young, he's got age on his side, so they also gradually getting him back into the side, maybe getting him more time to recover, will probably give him the last 20 minutes. And then another thing that we should take into consideration is the bench, Kieran, and they've got 40 caps between the 8 of them, and Trevor Nikani's got 23 of those 40 caps. So come the last 10-15 minutes, and those guys are on the field, the youngsters are definitely going to be under pressure if it's a close game, and that should be something to watch out for as well.
And it probably will be. Jody Hendricks, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Kieran. Thanks for having me.
Brilliant. Right.